everyone, and welcome back. Today we are going to be playing Is It Artifacts, and the kind of 1-2 punch with this deck is, of course, Synthesizer. What else would it be other than Synthesizer? But it is also with the Skitter Battalion. If you don't know how this works, we'll go over it very quickly. Sinulacrum Synthesizer cares when a artifact with mana value 3 or greater enters the battlefield. We make a construct that has a 1/1 for each artifact we control. Very good. The scry part's good, but that's not the super relevant part on this card. However, we have a card with prototype that I've done with blue-black, but now we're going to do it with blue-red, and its prototype is 5 mana. Therefore, the tokens that it makes are also 5 mana. So when this enters the battlefield, if we cast it, we create 2 tokens that are copies of it. So what ends up happening is this enters the Sinulacrum Synthesizer, makes a copy of it, and then 2 more tokens enter the battlefield as this ability triggers, making 2 more creatures with 5 mana in their mana cost, making Synthesizer make 2 more constructs. You'll see that very often in this video, that our constructs just very quickly would have been like a 4/4 or a 5/5, and they're just very quickly 12/12s, 13/13s, and they get massive quite quickly. Other than that, Ill-Time Explosion is an MVP today as just a draw engine, and also that board wipe. We don't play white, so we're missing out on Sunfall and temporary lockdowns and things like that. So we also have Brotherhood End in our deck, as it can be a little dangerous with the artifact side, but of course, we're limited to what we're going to have in the future, so we kind of have to opt for this right now. The other things that we can do here, and kind of our small interesting cards outside of 3 Steps Ahead that we know about, and Ironcrag that we are always kind of playing in this deck and representing, is that we're playing Eliminate the Impossible. This is a card that I don't think anybody really plays ever. I just saw it when making the deck, and I said, you know what, I'm going to give it a try. And realistically, this is to help buy a turn against Boros Convoke. If our opponent has a lot of 1/1s to play and they play an Imadane's Recruiter and we have this in hand, we cast it and only Imadane's Recruiter will hit us with 1 damage, kind of negating their entire turn and allowing us to find potentially our Brotherhood End or Ill-Time Explosion, especially if they're already in hand. And against those matchups, a lot of times if we have that Synthesizer, Skitter, Beam Battalion combo ready, making 6 creatures is enough to probably win. But there's a game where I have 2 Synthesizers in play and I make 9 creatures. So it's very, very cool. Outside of that, we are also playing this Dispersal. Obviously, we don't have access to a card like Fading Hope, which to some extent, I've kind of liked this a little bit more. Shielded a lot of times is already attacking us. So it's not like we miss out on that value and we're ever really going to be paying 3. But this can bounce a creature and then we surveil 2, which actually gives us a deeper look than Fading Hope does as well. And we don't have to keep bad cards in our deck. So if we're looking at control, we don't have to keep the Brotherhood End in our deck. We can just go ahead and throw that in the graveyard so we don't run into the chance of running into it again. And you might be like, how do we do that? Because obviously it's the bottom, we don't have a whole lot of shuffle effects. Well, we play Demolition Field. They're most likely going to play something similar, so they might shuffle us. And there's a Volt sometimes when you're activating this, looking at the top 13. That card on bottom is going to get up top very, very, very quickly. So other than that, we're going to go ahead and hop into the games. This is the deck list. And one final note, if you all enjoy my content, please consider subscribing. Truly helps me out a ton. And let's just head out there and see how much battalion synthesizing we can do. Sure, I have a Surveil, so hopefully it's good enough. Finding its old power balance over here. Fire's Victory is pretty good. Pretty good here. I don't know what I'm playing against. It might be the best card of all time or the worst card of all time. It's like one of the kind of gambles you have to do when you surveil right away. I'm not dealing with that one. Ooh, Honest Rustine, 4-color humans, kind of wombo combo deck. Okay. Hopefully we can close the game quick enough. They can do infinite combo with Rustines if they play the Relic and do all their nonsense that they can do. Hit another land. We feel pretty confident. Maybe it's that deck. I assume it's that deck. If the throw not good enough, so this doesn't really do anything. Could be Emergence as well. Ooh, it is. Alright, well, if that's the case, based on potentially what's to happen here, they have nothing great to reanimate there. So I'm just going to be about as aggressive as I can get. Cut down just gets one of those. The trigger still happens, so 2 more are made. On the 14. Moving on. Bringing back Amethyst here. Okay, that makes more sense. You still have to cast his emergence, so that enters. Graveyard to hand. That makes sense. So if they play a blue, they can get another creature down. Rustine won't be around to see the end of the tunnel, I think. But I can see if they plan on blocking here first. They do, so I don't have to waste this setup turn. Oh boy. Let's synthesizer, I guess. I think both of these have to just go. Now we're sitting here, we're chilling. Can we close the door in time? I'm literally so scared. I don't know what's going to happen to me. Anytime you see emergence and like nothing in there, like I have to assume it's a Traxa, right? Like what else could it be? Interesting. I do. When this enters the battlefield, target instant or sorcery card in your graveyard gets flashback until end of turn. That card's kind of sick. Hello? That's so cool. We need to get some of these creatures out of the way. Ill-Time doesn't do it because Ill-Time just pops all my stuff. So I play here. I want to draw really bad. I think I'm -5/-5. Get this thing out of the way. It's not activatable because they didn't. Well, it's 4 mana to activate anyway, right? Yeah. So now we have a big construct. We're ready to go. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, even more now that I think I should have just left my land on top. And now I'm 1 short of the Cityscape Leveler. We'll see. They don't have a big threat in there for their emergence. This card's so sick. Honest Rustine. Trying to refill the board, which is like perfectly fine play, of course. Gotta do what they gotta do, you know. Math come in. It's only 1 mana here. Hey, there's a card that's worth reanimating. Sometimes it happens to the best of us yet. They land. Play Thran Spider. Then I guess I can look, right? If it works out, I'm like way better off for it. 2 lands. Brutal find. Like, I could obviously wipe the board, but then they can still reanimate that. So I just pass here. And then I basically force more than 1 block. Yeah, that makes sense. Also makes sense. The only thing for them though is this doesn't get to like set up per se. Like they don't get to do this unless they put a Spelunking in play, which could happen. But they don't get to like activate it and then get an untapped turn with all that mana. The mana will come in tapped. But they can use 2 of our Power Stones to do so. I guess. Interesting. Oh, they're going for it next turn. I can always remove it with the Cityscape Leveler, and then I also get to pop their token out of the way. So I'm better off playing this and then activating this, I guess. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I have activation on that as well. So we play this, we make another construct, which is huge. A real reason to freak out here. But they could play this, give this flashback, and then cast this Tyrant and maybe go off. Definitely a tough spot. Okay. Sure. Go for the third does nothing anyway. But now they're going for the play. Uh-huh. Now they cast to bring back the Tyrant. Mm-hmm. Not a whole lot I can do about this. Kind of a cool little combo they got going on here. Now, nothing there, so I activate my Thread Spider. And I just do a big old whiff, huh? And I hit a land, huh? You better do it than that, chat. I don't think you can. One, I guess. Sure, they'll get to draw again, but kind of just have to do it this way. Nope. They can reanimate it again too, because they can play this and play it again and bring it back from the yard, and then they'll draw even more cards. That miss off Thran Spider might have been the devastating blow there. But we're so close to potentially finding things that work out well for us. For example, like the I guess Skitter Bean Battalion here with this in play is super nice. It's only 5, so I have 4, 5, 6, 7, and so I have the mana to do it. Am I insane? Like, is it not just to play this and do that? They have the mana. Now they don't have the mana, right? This is wild to me. Can't believe they played it this way. Me, I'm bringing this Tyrant back. I think there's like no other play I'm making. What about second Cityscape Leveler? So here it doesn't matter, right? Because now I get to bring this back. It gets haste, and then I just attack like this, and I pop this out of the way. Now I have 8 trample damage. Now moving in like this. Down the 1. That is gone. And I have 1 way to clear. They surveil. That on top, maybe not the best thing of all time at this point. Give it flashback, sure. Play another Tyrant. I do get to pop the Tyrant out of the way with my Cityscape Leveler. But at that point, I might not even do that. I might just attack. Actually, I guess I popped a lockpick out of the way, right? Or... yeah, I just popped a lockpick out of the way. I don't give them more cards. So I cast this. Instead of getting them more life, I just do this. And then I move to combat and I swing these 2 9/9s or 10/10s or whatever they're going to be. Yep, we end up getting there. Oh, wow. Oh, wow, this hand's bad. That hand did nothing. We'll keep, and obviously, like, land kind of where we'd want to put on the bottom, but instead we're going to keep this. We do have a Blast Zone in our hand, so it's, like, perfectly fine. We have a decently good card for protection now. This only costs us 1 mana, and this is a good card to put back, resetting the counters on it. So we're perfectly fine. They do play green, so they could have ways to remove the synthesizer. I could stagger their turn here, but I don't think it's worth it on a 2-drop. I could surveil as well, so it's kind of like the ongoing theme here. This only destroys enchantments. Second synthesizer. I think with what I can play next turn, I should just play synthesizer here and scry, and hopefully they can't deal with this. Brotherhood in a really good draw. I'll put the Ironcrag on the bottom. So even if they do pick up my synthesizer and I need to reset this board, Brotherhood in will do it. Again, this is only enchantments that blows up, so you draw a card, lose a life. Probably looking for the creature that can pay a green and 2 to blow up artifact. Or they were looking for something else. Mosswood comes in. Brotherhood in very, very good looking here. But I think it is just a different game action entirely that needs to be made. I think we play this and we don't let Arena try to cost us because it's really trying here. Then I play this and then we just use the disposal to kind of push a card back into their hand here. Double Island can go to the bottom. Not really what we're looking for. This is only a 3/3, so it's not necessarily the best card of all time. But hopefully this disposal can act like a very strong piece. Let's get the blocks. Let's throw a block here. See if there's any game action to be made. Maybe give it Death Touch. Maybe Harvester. Sure, that can do it. Not too opposed to that. I barely even want to remove this. I kind of just want to bounce this because they'll most likely replay it. So sure, I'm just going to bounce this actually. And then I can look to play Thran Spider and then Brother's Hood in the board. Or just Brother's Hood in general. Seeing what I get. Battalion. Second Volt can go to the graveyard. Battalion can stay. And Battalion's going to absolutely destroy this board. Now, the minus counters doesn't do anything because these are not counters. These are 1/1s from the amount of artifacts I control. So now we have a choice. We can either blow up this board and pass on the Thran Spider, or I could play the Battalion and make 2 more constructs and call it a day. And I think that's just good enough. I think this is so good I kind of have to. Yeah. I honestly, chat, before you blame me, I forgot that I was going to make 6 constructs there. For whatever reason, I was like, I'm going to make 3 constructs, and if they have a way to remove them, that sucks. Okay, well, we get to see how good our deck is maybe against aggro. Our opponent's first, so it must be aggro. Ooh, we got a spicy boy. Playing the Goblin Tome Raider. As long as you control an artifact, it gets a 1/0. The haste does nothing here. I do think I pass. And I just play this Ironcrag, because then I can play a Mirrex and I can ill-time Explosion. And I'm also getting closer to playing Synthesizer and protect my life total for the turn. Oh, this is equipment. My opponent's sick. I love this guy. I can Brother's Hood in. Am I dead here? Or I can Synthesizer. I don't necessarily think I'm dead. I could die, though. That's kind of horrifying. I'm going to play Synthesizer and just pray here for a turn. Seems good. Especially following up this board. Now we just hope we're not dead. Normally they throw a lot of equipment. They're not necessarily like, give this thing double strike. But here, they're going to hit me for 5? Does this have double strike? Equip abilities, activate other equipment. Cost 1 less action. Creature has double strike. I didn't get hit by that last turn, so I forgot that that had double strike. Okay. Now they have Lava Spur Boots, so that's also kind of devastating. I can play this. There's Ward on here, so I can't necessarily get rid of that. So let's Thundering Falls. In that land, they could have Indestructible here. Do I hold this up instead? Artifact. Like, it sucks that I might have to blow up my Synthesizer. I think they're going to have a way to give these Indestructible. 6, 7, 8. I think I pass. Okay. Thinking of Surge, by the way, if you're wondering what card I'm thinking of. Sure. I hit for 2. Looking tough here. I mean, that's a good solid way to establish a board state. develop here. Then we can like win next turn. So I have to pretty much be aggressive, and it's definitely lethal next turn. So I'm just gonna hold back one extra creature for like menace things, but I feel like I'm just getting lightning helix and then play with fires or something. So forgetting that this got double strike, definitely going to cost here. No, not going to. Interesting. Play here. Then I do -5. And I pay this ward. Now it's gone. And then I just play this to make sure they're big enough. I don't know what they could have. Then I ship them. Are they not big enough? Oh, it's so close. No burn, no burn, no burn, no burn. Good game. Not quite enough. Wow, that is me forgetting that creature didn't have double strike. Almost, like, I mean, to be fair, my defense, nobody plays this deck. Not saying it's a bad deck, but nobody really plays this. So I wasn't really thinking about like, oh, every time I see this, I don't know that it gives double strike. You know what I mean? But other than that, I mean, I think we did well. I think we obviously showed the power of how fast this can turn the game. Okay, apparently I left for too long. My opponent is here. They were forced to keep their opener. So here we are. They timed out in their opening, so I went to grab a drink. So I'm going to keep that on top so I have additional colored mana. They reveal a green land, but since I was gone, they might not be entirely back, but they are. Aftermath. This looks like the Abzan build. Not the most exciting gameplay we're ever going to have, chat. I'm not going to lie to you. Just go ahead and get this out of the way. But hopefully if we get a good draw, we can play it and then kind of just combo off and do our thing before they're able to win. But sure. Not necessarily my favorite matchup of all time to play against, especially whenever this deck won't be here. What do? Do I hold up counterspell? I can't hold up counterspell, huh? Interesting. Demo field can come in. Demo field really does nothing. I'll just play my relic and I'll pass. Trying out relic in this deck as a mana rock. Field ruin. Sure, I guess. You can do that. Is your whole play? The field ruin me? Alright. That's fine. I'll go grab an island. I have plenty of them, I promise. Not getting basic land check today. Cast here. They could have counterspell. They do not. I'll draw my 2 cards. Continue to try to press the advantage while I can. And then maybe I can Cityscape Leveler next turn. I have 6, 7, 8 mana. So I can cast Cityscape Leveler. It's not the easiest card to Ill-Time Explosion off the battlefield. They would have to pitch one of these. But it doesn't even work. 7 mana. This is an 8/8. So it doesn't even get it off the battlefield. That's crazy. Interesting that Ill-Time doesn't like add them up. You have to discard 2. And it just picks the greatest one. But also like makes sense. So you can't get rid of two mana cards and do 4. Obviously, whenever you discard a 7 mana spell, it's like, well, how much bigger do you really need it to get? But when it comes to some of these dinos and bigger spells, like, kind of have to. Our opponent seems to be doing nothing. Okay. Holding up mana. For what? I don't know what. I kind of think they're going to have the spell to put all their mana into play. So it kind of actually scares me here. Huh. Yes. Tap that. Activate this. Play Thran Spider. I think I'm just going to hold up my counter spell. Now a little bit of a soft play here, but Make a token. I'll make a token. I'll play Spire Bluffkin now because that works. Could ill-time explosion, but I'm not really looking to. I'm looking to 3 steps ahead. Memory Deluge kind of sucks here, but I don't really care. Definitely looking to counter the actual World Soul Rage. It would have been kind of cool to see a different deck that like will be sticking around. I thought that's kind of what we were getting with how their early turns played, but then they started playing these lands. But if you have Aftermath, of course, you know, it's always going to be the case. Not letting them dig, that's for sure. If there's anything I'm not allowing to happen, this is definitely one of them, especially when they have 1 green mana. They have another, they might be able to play a Nissa here, but they can't play an additional land. I can Cityscape Leveler the Nissa. World Soul Rage for 2, not the worst. Nissa, in my opinion, is much worse. Double Field Ruin? Sure, my guy. This is kind of a cool variation of what World Soul Rage could become in the future, but I have so many basics. I'm not getting basics checked out of the game, that's for sure. At least anytime soon. I play 5. I have 5 more in my deck. So it's kind of like, you know, sure, but at the same time, doesn't really matter that much. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Can't actually get this off the battlefield, I suppose. And I kind of need to close the game sometime soon. Here. Blow that up. Attack. I will say, if I ever do top deck kind of the other artifact, we get to make a lot of 4/4s. I do have the 9 mana to do it. Again, ill-time explosion, not big enough. I think they're looking to see what mana they have. They got to remember the 2 colorless over there doesn't work. I have exactly enough to shoot my Cityscape Leveler down, but I can give it haste and attack with it, which might even be better. Because then out of nowhere, I can do it. They get a lot of mana. That's like the big issue. White Sun's Twilight. Never mind. That's cool. That is indeed cool. See, that's what I'm saying. Like they kind of have this cool idea already. 1, 2. This just got to be this. Get rid of that. Play the vault. I can activate the vault, get rid of my island, maybe find a synthesizer at some point. We're 20 cards deep and haven't found one yet. The vault's going to look at a very few cards. It's not going to look at much. They do have that Field of Ruin to get rid of it. Vault's devastating, potentially. Here I think I go ahead and use it. Take a look at our 3. Yeah, you got a memory delusion response. Got the counterspell for it. Got exactly what we want here. Now we'll go grab basic mountain. Because our red's a little light here. We have 2 more basics, something that we got to keep track of. Do I have enough to do both? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I missed a little. I can go to the bottom. I think I'm right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm so afraid of an ill-time explosion, but they haven't shown one yet, and they're literally halfway through their deck. But I could just play this and make a big creature, attack for 8, and then battalion them next turn. But I think I'd rather have 3 creatures and just hope it's good enough. Like, the more I talk to myself, like, the better this play seems. Because I can then bring this back next turn. Like, look how big those are. Like, they're lethal on their own, so I think waiting one more turn is actually just a scam. Ill-time explosion, depopulate, that works. Not playing ill time in a deck that normally does. White Suns, I guess, was also an option. Here. Again, I'm just holding this Cityscape Leveler to kind of get to that lethal point. It's like most of my mana, yeah. So I should just wait. Because I want to bring this up and attack at the same time a lot of my damage is attacking. And if I can Thran Spider and then find... If I can Thran Spider and find another battalion, like I'm much happier with that. Because then I can attack for a lot more. Because that'll make this construct alone like absolutely massive. All those can resolve. They'll gain 3 more life. Go to 29. You're doing the thing where you draw a lot of cards, opponent, then returning them all. Be cool. I can do it. Activate here. My memory delusion response. Synthesizer's like fine enough, I guess. Here. I mean, I'm dead to World Soul Rage, I believe. I mean, yeah, they can just play Virtue and automatically kill me for sure. So it's a little tough. So I think I just got to go ahead and threaten as much damage as I can. Maybe it'll be close enough. I don't have a non-artifact that I can blow up and make another one, right? Yeah. If I could make another artifact, I would. Yeah, it's just not enough. Alright, World Soul me. Go for it. Could have enough. Virtue, World Soul, non-Virtue, doesn't really matter. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Let's see it. I've decked in a bit with these. Either. It's very clear they have nothing and I have nothing. So we're both kind of just in top deck mode. But theirs are like automatic lethal threats. Mine are not. Battalion on top. No way to shuffle right now. So we keep. I haven't even counted. That's 10, 14, 15, 16, 17. Minus 2. So we should be fine. It'll be close, but... this battalion on top will be lethal. Do you even have any more basics in your deck, big dog? Yeah, I didn't figure. Is this Virtue? Or is this in Memory Deluge Part 2? Find another depopulate. And Sunfall, maybe? The only issue is, like... my battalion's so good here. Yeah, it's definitely depopulate if I had to say. Sure. And then we find lethal with the battalions on top. As each of them will be 4, unless of course they have Beside You, and then we don't necessarily find lethal. What do we have? I like looking in their graveyard. Alright, no Beside You. And for that, I bid you farewell. All colorless. Make a ton of creatures. This board is going to be absolutely massive. And these alone will actually be enough for lethal. Kind of surprised we won that game. I did not figure that we would. I think anybody in my position would believe the same. But I am kind of happy, like, looking at that deck. Because I'm not one that wants this deck to just die. Like, as... I want these to go away. I think that's what everybody wants. I want these to go away where these are no longer like taking a lot of time out of turns. But I think like playing this with like the Field of Ruins, even if Field of Ruins gone, Demolition Field is not, so you can just do the hard swap. But kind of playing this like weird control-y game is pretty cool in my opinion. And I like the White Suns. I think was sick. You're just like ramping, gain a little bit of life, and then you use like the World Soul Rage, and then this, and then I believe they probably played. I don't see. Does it have black in it? I think it does. There's a card that like sacks all the permanents, and then you draw a lot of cards, and then you use this to put all your lands back in play, and then you make a ton of mana in your World Soul Rage with the Spelunking down. But not the list, but onto the outro. All right, chat. Well, here we are. As you can see, our deck's a little lopsided with what's our magic number in this deck. But realistically, you can argue these are 1-drops. This is kind of like a Fading Hope replacement in theory, but also getting Surveil too is actually kind of nice. And it doesn't matter if that creature's tapped or not. As long as the creature's attacking us, we can then put it back in their hand for 1 blue mana. And I actually kind of like this card a lot, almost more than Fading Hope, because we get to look at more. And that's so important when we're trying to dig for this card in particularly. We always want as many looks as possible. And a card in here that I played for Spice, just because like I didn't even really know it existed, was this card. And this is really just to make those Boros turns very awkward for our opponent when they're like, okay, I'm going to tap out. I'm going for the lethal play, and I'm committing everything I have. And sure, a lot of them will be just 1 point higher, so they'll get able to hit us quite hard. But all the 1-drops that they have, if it's just an Immodanes, this will actually take all their damage away for the most part. And Immodanes will hit us for 1. If they have a Knight Errant of Eos, it'll hit us for 3. But we can kind of shut off all their stuff, and then we investigate so we can get draw. It's a cheesy way to make an artifact and make our opponent's creatures smaller whenever we're attacking with constructs, if they're like looking to trade off and our constructs are quite small. But our like the battalion is 2/2s, so we need them to be a little bit less powerful so they don't trade off our creatures. But other than that, realistically, what I liked a lot in this list was playing Ill-Time Explosion. Definitely getting to find more draws outside of just relying on Braided Net in general and the Mightstone and Weakstone. Ill-Time Explosion being that kind of board wipe we need, and having these high-end cards to pitch to it, or like this is 5 mana even, so this takes out like Shielded and stuff. Obviously, we take a little bit of damage for doing that, but getting Shielded off the battlefield is sometimes important enough, or like a lot of 3-drops and 2-drops that are have like quite a lot of toughness. We can get rid of these Mightstone Weakstones, and then we have 1 proxy in here to kind of either play one of these on the back end for free, or like, you know, kind of look at everything else. But outside of that, I mean, the deck was super fun. I think we saw how good the battalion can be. I think this matchups today actually showed how strong these two are together, with the amount of times that I said play these battalions and make these ginormous threats that you just cannot answer. Each one of them alone is almost lethal. So we definitely got to see some cool stuff. Cool to see like Cityscape Leveler be a little bit more relevant again. It had such kind of a high praise when it first came out, so that's very cool. But outside of that, I will be uploading another video today as well. I don't know how the algorithm is going to work with it, but I will have uploaded it before this one, so that this will be technically the newest video. But I played some standard Brawl with non-rotating cards. You know, it's rotation safe, but I didn't play like on the ladder or anything. I just played a friend that I work with, and they also play Magic, so kind of just having like a good vibe session where we play 2 Brawl decks, and we're kind of, it's almost like a command night. I don't upload a lot of times on Sunday anyway, just because of the way my week works out. Being having a full-time job and trying to do this is a little tough because these videos are so long, and I do all the editing and everything. But I was going to play Brawl because it's very easy, and I can make those videos very quickly comparatively, because I don't have to, like, the ladder is not random. I don't run into mono red 5 times in a row, so I have to cut 3 or 4 of them, whether I win or lose or whatever. Obviously, nobody wants to sit here and watch me play mono red all day. We want to see at least some other matchups, so those can go quite long. But at least if I'm playing Brawl with a friend, it's going to be the same decks. We're going to run them back. We're going to play like a best of 3 or best of 5 series, depending how fast the matchups go, and just see how it is. It's a little bit more casual if you're just wanting to throw it up on the TV and have a good time and watch 2 close friends just have a kind of enjoyable experience. It might be a video you might want to check out. But other than that, I enjoyed playing this deck list today. I think it was really fun. I think Ill-Time Explosion is actually an MVP here and shows off a little bit more than it's worth. And also this Volt Volt is so good, but also like at times so scarily bad because obviously more colorless lands make stuff harder to cast. But when this card's good and you have artifacts, man, is this card good, and I love it so much. So outside of that, thank you all for watching. Thanks for listening to me yap at the end there, and I'll catch you all later. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.